Hi, and welcome to the course coordination section of the Idaho Food Bank Cooking Matters Satellite Partner Training. This training module will give you a thorough understanding of how to prepare for a Cooking Matters course. We will go over the Cooking Matters course gold standards, the education model, course guidelines and requirements, and course coordination components such as the timeline, host agency selection, and course materials preparation. First, we will discuss the Cooking Matters course gold standards. The gold standards are a set of requirements for Cooking Matters courses. It is a list that consists of 6 gold standards. Each standard has a set of key behaviors and actions that, if followed, can help your courses as meaningful as possible for course participants. The gold standards are based on the Cooking Matters philosophy that learner-centered education has great impact and affects long-lasting behavior change. In the training on evaluation and reporting, we spend more time discussing behavior change, including how it is measured and the impact and outcomes of our courses. Throughout this training, let's keep these gold standards in mind as we walk through the essential information to help you successfully coordinate Cooking Matters courses. This is a visual of the first page of the Cooking Matters course gold standards. Each standard has a list of dimensions and indicators that, when met, help you to maintain gold standard courses. If all programs use this as a framework for courses, it ensures that all Cooking Matters course participants have positive learning experiences and take improved nutrition practices, eating habits, and food budgeting skills with them. To begin, we will start with the learner-centered education model that is the cornerstone of every Cooking Matters course. Cooking Matters courses are not based on demonstration nor lecture. They are participatory and centered on the learner. The learner-centered model is integral to meeting all of the gold standards. Learner-centered courses recognize that learners are the experts in their own lives, involve sharing and comparing experiences from members of the group, and create a safe environment for learners to consider changing behaviors. There are 3 specific techniques that course coordinators and volunteer instructors can use to make sure that programming is learner-centered. 1. Make sure that they are hands-on. 2. Taught by a volunteer team. And 3. Uses facilitated dialogue methods. People approach tasks from different perspectives. According to the National Training Laboratory, there are a variety of ways that people learn. What it shows us is that there is not one way to relay information, and that to be effective, instructors should pay attention to incorporating different styles while relaying information. The average person retains 10% of the information that they read, 20% of the information that they hear, 30% of the information that they see, 50% of the information that they see and hear, 70% of what is said as a part of conversation, and 90% of what is done as a task. Because it has been shown that people learn best when they are engaged in dialogue and have the opportunity to practice, our courses are participatory. Because learners retain more information while actively participating, Cooking Matters allows participants to learn while they cook, shop, or participate in nutrition education activities. While you deliver food skills education through Cooking Matters, please remember to help volunteers to make sure that they are not hosting an all-demo or all-lecture course or tours, and that they allow the participants to participate in the education process as much as possible by cooking and participating in nutrition education activities and discussions. Cooking Matters courses are designed to be taught by 2 qualified instructors who can share their professional expertise in cooking, nutrition, and resource management. All participants in Cooking Matters nutrition courses are given the opportunity to work in the kitchen with a professional chef and learn about nutrition from someone with specialized training. The instructor team should pair a qualified chef with a qualified nutrition professional to build upon each other's messages. They reinforce key messages from different perspectives to create a dynamic classroom setting. You will learn more about how to recruit appropriate volunteers in the Volunteering with Cooking Matters training. Team teaching allows participants to receive professional instruction from qualified instructors who create a dynamic classroom setting to share their expertise, knowledge, skills, perspective, and real-life experiences with participants. The third method used in Cooking Matters courses is a technique called facilitated dialogue. Facilitated dialogue is a method of group teaching that involves active participation of both the learner and the educator. It offers proven techniques for engaging learners. Each of the Cooking Matters curricula's weekly lessons have been adapted to incorporate facilitated dialogue techniques, and during the next few slides, we will talk about the tools used in facilitated dialogue. A technique in facilitated dialogue is the establishment of shared group expectations. It is recommended at the start of each Cooking Matters course, the group establish shared group expectations for the course. Some examples are included on the slides, and other expectations used in classes include active listening, no blaming or accusing, to try all foods that were made, and respecting each other's time, opinions, and experiences. Establishing these expectations help the group to create an environment where it is encouraged to learn, contribute, participate, and if comfortable, share and learn from each other. Use of a bike rack list to park learners' ideas or objectives that aren't quite aligned with the lesson or course objectives is a technique that acknowledges learner objectives while also creating a reminder to the instructor for incorporating those ideas at a more appropriate time. It is recommended that throughout the course, the educators keep a bike rack and address the items on the rack when appropriate. Open-ended questions engage learners in discussion. They do not seek yes or no answers. They aren't about right or wrong answers. They help participants to reflect and make the information personally relevant. They allow you to find out if the learner recognizes if there's a problem, has any concerns about the issue, has any intention to change, and allows you to assess participants' confidence level for making a change. Do you think the question on the slide is an open-ended question? The answer is no, this is not an open-ended question. What do you notice about asking the question in this way as pictured on the slide? This kind of question encourages people to engage in dialogue, which is exactly what we want our participants to do in classes. We want to start a conversation with them. Pro and con charts help the learner to see both sides of changing and not changing. They allow the learner to consider a range of ideas that might help them make changes. They also help facilitators realize what will support or block the learner's attempt at making changes. Menus and choices is another facilitated dialogue technique that can be used to engage learners in discussion about potential behavior change. For example, when asking participants about making a change, rather than asking them what change they will make, maybe offer them some choices. This will help them remember certain topics and will encourage discussion about potential concerns around making particular behavior changes. This slide features an example of how menus and choices technique is incorporated in the curricula. Next, we will cover course guidelines and requirements. Let's review the basic Cooking Matters course implementation guidelines. Please note that all partners are expected to adhere to these guidelines to ensure that Cooking Matters courses across the country provide a high-quality, effective learning experience for our participants. All Cooking Matters courses must provide hands-on cooking. Courses are designed to be interactive with lots of opportunity for practice, which helps participants become comfortable making meaningful changes to the way they plan, purchase, and prepare meals at home. Cooking Matters courses are intended for families and individuals living in low-income households, and participants must never be charged for courses. To facilitate classroom management and program efficiency, we recommend that your classes have no fewer than 8 and no more than 15 participants. In Cooking Matters for Families courses, 8 child-adult pairs is the recommended maximum number of participants. Commonly, participants love their Cooking Matters course so much that they want to take it again. However, Share Strength does not allow offering courses to participants that have previously graduated from that same course. If an eager participant would like to retake the course, consider making that class participant a class assistant. Finally, our signature courses are designed to be offered over a period of 6 weeks, with participants meeting for a 2-hour class each week. There is some flexibility here, such as having class over a longer period of time or having class multiple times a week. An exception to working over 6 weeks is Cooking Matters for Child Care Professionals, which is designed for flexible implementation to accommodate the availability of child care providers. This course should provide a total of 10 hours of training. In addition to the implementation guidelines for all Cooking Matters courses, we also have a few guidelines for when offering specific courses. For example, it is strongly encouraged that Cooking Matters for adult classes include a grocery store tour during the 5th lesson and complete the $10 challenge activity as part of the tour. Grocery tours are also encouraged in other courses. For example, the Activity Bank in Cooking Matters for Kids and Cooking Matters for Family classes offer ideas for an engaging pop-up store tour for those participants. Share Strength believes these in-store activities provide a crucial opportunity for practical application of the knowledge and skills participants have learned throughout the course. While at the store, participants practice skills such as reading food labels, comparing unit prices, identifying whole grain products, and shopping the perimeter of the store to locate the healthiest foods. More detailed instructions for conducting the tours are found in the instructor guides for each course. Another specific guideline is the requirement to provide take-home groceries for all courses serving adults or parents. Take-home groceries should allow participants to practice making at least one of the recipes taught in class. In general, send home all recipe ingredients except small quantity items that may be on hand at home, such as cooking oil, butter, eggs, salt, pepper, common herbs and spices, or condiments. To best use resources, repackage bulk items to provide participants with only the amount they will need to make the recipe. For example, buy a big block of cheddar cheese and have some volunteers shred it up and divide it into plastic bags. Guidelines for take-home groceries should be followed at all times, though it is encouraged to make small adjustments if necessary to avoid waste. For example, if participants will not be able to refrigerate their groceries within an hour after class, it is acceptable to provide only the non-perishable ingredients to make the recipe. In addition, if teen participants indicate that they will not use the groceries at home, the partner may choose not to provide them, but are encouraged to provide items at least once during the course in order to encourage participants to practice skills outside of the class. Next, we will cover course coordination. Now that we have talked about the course gold standards, our education model, the curricula and requirements around courses, let's discuss the 3 components of course coordination. The 3 umbrella categories of course coordination are working with partner agencies, called host agencies, working with volunteers, and managing course materials, including paperwork, food, and equipment. The person who coordinates courses is called the Cooking Matters Course Coordinator. This person oversees the components of courses and plays a very significant role in managing these 3 elements. First, we will focus our discussion on host agencies and how to best choose which agencies to work with. As a satellite partner, you may be choosing your own location as a host site, so you will not need to sign agreements or do site recruitment. However, you will want to make sure you are fully equipped to run a course successfully, so the following points will still be helpful. In addition to potentially hosting courses at your facility, you may choose to work with other community organizations to deliver programming. If you decide to do this, you will need to identify and work with these agencies. Choosing host sites that are a good fit for Cooking Matters is critical for ensuring course success. As you begin your search, assess potential sites with these characteristics in mind. First, sites that you choose should serve low-income clients. Host sites serving this clientele most likely have a way to verify income eligibility. For your information, these two proxies help to confirm low income status. 1. Participants or their children are enrolled in a free or reduced price lunch program, food stamps, WIC, Medicaid, low income housing, or another federal nutrition or anti-poverty program. 2. The site is located in, or participants reside or attend school locating in a census tract area where at least 50% of persons have a gross income that are equal to or less than 185% of the poverty threshold. Second, host sites offer related or complementary programming. Hosting Cooking Matters courses is a way for community agencies to expand their services they offer. The ideal agency will already offer related programs and services to Cooking Matters eligible populations, and is seeking to complement current programming by adding Cooking Matters. And third, host site provides adequate space for the course. Courses can run successfully in a variety of settings. However, because of the participatory nature of Cooking Matters, it is important that the classroom, kitchen, or workspace be large enough for the entire group to participate. If a large kitchen is not available, try working in another area with enough workspace, seek out appropriate space in a nearby building, or create an alternative cooking space by bringing in equipment. If you choose this last option, make sure there is at least a sink available for hand washing, dishwashing, and sanitizing. And lastly, host site employs an enthusiastic and committed site coordinator. The ideal agency will designate a site coordinator who is enthusiastic about the Cooking Matters program, committed to the program's success at the agency, and has a good relationship with potential participants. The site coordinator should understand and agree to fulfill each of the expectations you have of them. For example, recruiting and enrolling 8 to 15 participants, being on-site and available each week for classroom management and troubleshooting, reminding participants about class each week, and making sure the room is ready for class. An ideal host site coordinator will know the potential participant population well, be able to anticipate potential barriers to participation such as childcare, transportation, or language barriers, and offer assistance in overcoming these barriers, such as identifying a translator, providing childcare, or arranging for transportation. If your agency will not be partnering with other agencies to hold Cooking Matters classes, then you may skip this section. Keeping the ideal host site characteristics in mind, begin the screening process by asking each potential host site to complete a host site application. This allows sites to demonstrate their interest formally and convey information that will help you to determine whether to pursue a relationship. The Idaho Food Bank will provide you with a template application that you can use. If the application indicates the site has good potential, arrange to tour the site and meet with the designated site coordinator, see the Cooking Matters course space, provide a thorough introduction and explanation of Cooking Matters, and make sure you understand their agency mission. Be sure the coordinator clearly understands the responsibilities they would agree to carry out a Cooking Matters class. If the site visit and meeting with the coordinator are successful and you choose to partner with the host agency, you will formalize this agreement in a signed agreement. A template host site agreement will be provided to you by your Idaho Food Bank Nutrition Education Specialist. A signed agreement helps you to communicate and discuss shared expectations and establishes accountability. With this agreement in place, there can be no confusion over who is responsible for things like providing childcare or enrolling participants. It is important to assess your relationship with host sites periodically. This process helps both partners to measure satisfaction with the relationship and identify areas for improvement. Volunteers are a key asset to the Cooking Matters programming, and without them, we would not be able to help as many families as we do. In order to host courses, it is essential to adequately staff them with volunteers. We will talk in detail about recruiting, training, recognizing, and managing volunteers in the Volunteering with Cooking Matters training module. For this training, we will focus on the basic steps involved related to volunteers working in courses. All courses are to be team taught by qualified culinary and nutrition instructors. In addition, you may recruit for additional roles such as classroom manager and assistant or class shopper. Before the course begins, be sure you have confirmed that volunteers have participated in a Cooking Matters orientation, are able to attend each session of the course, and can attend a pre-course planning meeting, also known as Class 0. Share Our Strength considers Class 0 a best practice for setting clear expectations of volunteers and ensuring proper planning prior to the course start. It is a time where all members of the course team meet prior to the course, in an effort to become familiar with the course, each other, and the location. Class 0 should be held at the host site at the same time and day of the week of the course so that the volunteers can become familiar with the host site, the space available for the course, and the conditions they can expect at that time in the day of the week. For example, parking and traffic. All members of the volunteer team and the host site coordinator should attend Class 0 so that they can meet and interact with each other prior to the course start. During Class 0, the coordinator should clearly outline expectations of the volunteer team. For instance, discuss what time volunteers should arrive each week, who will be responsible for bringing certain items, and the importance of thoroughly reviewing lesson plans and gold standards prior to each class. Class 0 is also a time to set an instruction plan for the first week of the course. Be sure to explain the extra time needed in the first week for introductions, basic kitchen safety, and paperwork. Choose activities and recipes, discuss classroom management roles, and make any other needed plans. It is also important during this discussion to be sure volunteers realize there is some flexibility in class flow and that lesson components may be moved around as needed to use time efficiently. If it is not possible to hold a Class 0 at the same time of and at the location of the course, hold it in person at another location. If this is not possible, try to have a conference call with the course team ahead of time of the course start date. If these options are not possible, at a minimum, send out an email to the course team introducing the team to each other, discussing expectations, sharing a communication plan, and starting conversation about the plan for the first class. Make sure to follow up with the team as needed and make sure a plan is in place before Class 1. The Idaho Food Bank will provide you with a Class 0 outline document to use. For the duration of the course coordinator should support and coach the volunteer team to lead the course successfully. Ways you can support and coach the volunteer team during the first class is to create a welcoming atmosphere, help to lead introductions, helping to set a code of conduct, stressing attendance, and emphasizing kitchen safety. Communication is key between the volunteer team and the Cooking Matters coordinator to ensure program success. If you, the Cooking Matters coordinator, will not be attending class each week, it is important for you to check in with your volunteer team. Ask how class went. Did everyone like the recipe? Were any of the ingredients or equipment missing? What did the class decide to make next week? Is there any additional equipment that you will need to make those recipes? Make sure that each week you send out the weekly agenda and the weekly shopping list. On the Idaho Food Bank Cooking Matters Satellite Partner website, there are some examples of the agendas for each week. Also, you will find an example shopping list and shopping guidelines for Cooking Matters program success. In addition to setting expectations on day one, it is the coordinator's role to support volunteers throughout the course as needed. The coordinator should be sure that the volunteers understand that the coordinator is there to support them so they feel comfortable providing feedback and are willing to accept any constructive criticism. On the slide, list some ways that you can support and coach your volunteer team. As we talked about, volunteers are a huge asset to the program. By doing the items listed, you continue to show your support for their work and give them an opportunity to share their feedback and acknowledge their service. Another component of course coordination is managing the food, equipment, and materials. This part of the training provides an overview of material, purpose, and use. The Idaho Food Bank Satellite Partner Coordination Timeline for Cooking Matters is pictured in this slide. The first step to managing course materials is making sure you get them on time. At a minimum of 4 weeks prior to the start of the course, you need to order the materials through the Idaho Food Bank Nutrition Education Specialist. To order materials, you will use the course and tour ordering form, and to make sure you have everything you need ready for the start of your course, please use the Cooking Matters Course and Tour Checklist document. Materials for courses include instructor and participant guides, incentives, graduation certificates, and surveys. A major benefit to this partnership is that in addition to covering the cost of developing, designing, translating, and printing program materials, Share Strength provides materials for partners at no charge. All material orders must go through the Idaho Food Bank Nutrition Education Specialist. There are several components needed for each class. These items include groceries and a range of equipment and supplies as pictured on the slide. Take-home groceries should allow participants to practice making at least one of the recipes taught in class. In general, send home all recipe ingredients except small quantity items that may be on hand at home, such as cooking oil, butter, eggs, salt, pepper, and common herbs and spices or condiments. To best use resources, repackage bulk items to provide participants with only the amount they will need to make the recipe. For example, buy a large block of cheese and have a volunteer cut it up and place them into plastic bags for each participant to take home. Guidelines for take-home groceries should be followed at all times, though it is encouraged to make small adjustments if necessary to avoid waste. For example, if participants will not be able to refrigerate their groceries within 1 hour after class, it is acceptable to provide only the non-perishable ingredients to make the recipe. Take the time to make a grocery list so you can make the best use of your time and money at the store. Judge how much of each ingredient you will need for the in-class recipe based on the expected number of participants and volunteers and based on which ingredients you will send in the take-home bag of groceries. When your list is created, plan time to shop. Shopping for each class can take 30 minutes to 1 hour, not including driving time. Another option is to recruit a volunteer shopper. This can be a great way to engage volunteers who may not be qualified for the culinary or nutrition instructor roles. In addition to groceries, partners need cooking equipment, teaching materials, and activity supplies. It is recommended to maintain a plastic bin of small kitchen tools and equipment and relying on the site primarily for major equipment like an oven and stovetop. The amount and quality of equipment varies from program to program, but generally includes the basic supplies such as knives, pots, pans, oven mitts, measuring cups, and etc. The Idaho Food Bank will provide you with an equipment bin packing list for each course. Note, pictured on the slide is an example of one partner's culinary equipment and how it is stored. Share Our Strengths Legal Counsel has developed participant and volunteer liability and media release waivers, which both release Cooking Matters and its partners, agents, and volunteers from liability and gain consent for the use of participant survey data and photos or videos taken during the course. Participant waivers are provided by the Idaho Food Bank, but are modifiable to include and protect your organization as well as Share Our Strength and the Idaho Food Bank. All course participants and volunteers must complete a liability waiver in order to participate in the class. As the waivers, by law, can only be signed by individuals 18 and older, waivers for teen and children must be completed and signed by a parent or guardian prior to their participation in the course. The media section of the waiver is optional, and if a volunteer or participant or parent chooses not to sign the media release, do not take, use, or share any photos, videos, or audio recordings of that person. Your organization is responsible for verifying and retaining this documentation and must keep original waivers on file for at least 3 years. We will talk more about the waivers in the evaluation and reporting training module. Contact information is collected for each adult who participates in Cooking Matters courses and tours. For courses, this is captured on a separate page from the demographic behavior questions to ensure confidentiality. On the first day of the course coordinator should have each adult participant fill out the enrollment form. The purpose of the enrollment form is to gather background information about the Cooking Matters participants. Surveys. Cooking Matters surveys help to understand how Cooking Matters has changed the way its graduates think about, shop for, and cook healthy meals. The Cooking Matters surveys use a traditional pre and post test, meaning that the participants complete the same survey questions on both the first day and the last day of the course. Share Our Strength and their research partners developed this survey through an extensive formative research and testing process and have determined this design to be best. You will learn more about the surveys and our evaluation in the evaluation and reporting training modules. For now, it is important to know that administration of these forms is an important part of course coordination. This concludes our discussion about Cooking Matters courses and their coordination. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your Idaho Food Bank Nutrition Education Specialist in your region.